Hi, it's Tash from Foxes and Brown Bears Tarot, and today I'm doing a VR to Papa Squirrel. And so this is basically the idea that if all your decks disappeared, which ones would you rebuy? And it's taken me a while to do this video because, boy, it's hard to decide which ones you'd rebuy because you'd want most of them, wouldn't you? So what I've done is I've narrowed it down to 5 tarot and 5 oracle, and that was very hard. And then I've got one honorable mention at the end. Now I have, a bit like Masha, at Musings of Masha, I've gone with the decks that can easily be replaced. So they're still in print and would be affordable enough for me to buy them all at once. So everyone who's watched my channel knows that my all-time favorite deck is the Everyday Enchantment by Poppy Palin, and so this is a deck I would immediately rebuy. In fact, if I could only buy one, this would be it. It is absolutely beautiful. Now I have trimmed, they're normally reversible, but because I've trimmed the tops and sides, they're not quite reversible. But this deck is just amazing. It is just so contemporary. It depicts everyday scenes. Pretty much anyone can see themselves in it. You can recognize elements of the modern world. And it's my most versatile deck. It is my go-to deck. It is the deck I would take with me if I were going away. And it's the deck I constantly come back to. And ever since I've bought it, it's never gone back in the box because it pretty much sits in a place where I can very readily access it. So this would be the deck I'd purchase immediately. All right, another deck that I would purchase is the Green Witch Tarot. So this is by Anne Murrah and art by Curiosity God Leonard. And this is lovely. I've had this for quite a while now, and it just reads beautifully for me. I love the backs. It is glossy, but I actually quite like it. It shuffles really nicely, and it's just so beautifully whimsical and so earthy, and I just love the way it depicts the cards. Like this Death card is amazing. And even though it veers a little bit from your traditional RWS, I find it just reads so beautifully. I love the court cards. They're just so expressive. There's so much in these. I love that they all have an animal connected to them as well, because I do love my animals. And I couldn't imagine my life without this deck. I don't pull it all the time, but I know it's one that I go to if I need a bit of comfort and I want something that's not the contemporary elements of the Everyday Enchantment. So love this deck. I'll show you one more. Yeah. Okay, so another deck which would be no surprise that I would immediately buy is the Spirit Animal Oracle. And this is just so beautiful. So beautiful. It does come in that gorgeous little kind of weird little box. And the only gripe I have about this deck is it comes with this little cardboard insert inside, but you can't actually, once you take the film off the cards, you can't get the cards back in there. And so I've had to make a little individual bag for my cards for them to sit inside that box, which is all right because I like making bags and I get to have cute animals depicted again. All right, so this deck is amazing, amazing. The backs are beautiful. It is glossy. Once again, I quite like glossy as long as it's not the sticky glossy. They slide really nicely. And this deck is amazing. The choice of animals is incredible. They are so well chosen to depict each card. This is so beautiful. Look at those little hearts on them. And the artwork is so beautiful. And they just have such an energy to them. And they always give me great little readings. And the book that comes with it is amazing. And this would be the animal deck I would buy. And I love my animal decks. I would miss them dearly. But this one would be the first one I'd buy, because I couldn't imagine not having it. So yes, and one more. Oh, I have to show you the High Priestess. Just so beautiful. Look at that card. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's the spirit animal. Another one which I would have to rebuy is the Deviant Moon by Patrick Valenza. And this deck is amazing. It's not generally my aesthetic, but oh my gosh. I love the cardstock on this. It's so beautiful. The backs are gorgeous. I love that they're sort of skinny and tall. And the artwork is just incredible. And I couldn't imagine not having this deck. It's the one I go to when I want really rounded readings. Because even though some people find this quite dark and creepy and tend to use it for things like shadow work, I actually find that it's quite humorous and incredibly balanced. It just has, it can give you the blunt message, but it can also give you messages in very humorous, witty ways. And in some ways it can actually be quite comforting as well. So, I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I think the artwork is so well thought out and it's just incredible. Every time I use this, I find new things in it. And I never ever tire of looking at this art. And I just love his take on the tarot. So this would definitely have to come back into my collection ASAP. All right, and then the final deck is I really wanted to pick an art deck because I love my art decks. And so I thought, okay, in terms of readily available and beautiful, I would go with the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. And this is beautiful. I love this sort of artwork. Once again, it is quite glossy, but it's the slippy glossy, so I don't mind. Love the backs. I love the artwork on this. Like she's basically curated a whole lot of medieval kind of Renaissance art and collaged it together to create this most amazing deck. And it just feels like magic in my hands, and it does read very well. And even though it's curated art, it's still very true to the RWS, which is the system I know and love. I don't have any Thoth decks, and the only deck that even approximates Marseille for me is the Marseille Waite deck that I bought. But once again, the minors in that are RWS, so doesn't really count. Love this High Priestess. So yes, just very emotive, very beautiful. And so that's the art deck that I'd bring into my collection. However, as the honorable mention, and the deck I would have chosen as my art deck is the Majestic Earth. And the only reason I haven't put it into my top 5 is because it's no longer in print at the moment, and so it wouldn't be readily available. However, I would do what I could to replace this, although I'd have financial limits on doing that. But if I could possibly replace it, this would be the deck I really would hate to be without. It is by far one of my most intuitive decks. Lovely matte cardstock, gorgeous backs, and it just landscapes. And I love landscapes. I've always loved landscape photography. I love looking at landscapes in art galleries, and this artwork is just so beautiful. And as I said, it's intuitive for me. Often I don't even look at what card it is. I don't look at the keywords. Sometimes I do, but generally what I do is I just look at the picture and I just get a real sense of what it's trying to tell me. And it's always beautiful. It is truly one of my favorite decks. It's pretty much after the Everyday Enchantment. This would be my second favorite. So, it's so beautiful. So yes, if I could get this, this would be the one that I would purchase. Yeah, but as I said, not readily available. So apologies for anyone who really wants that, because yeah, it might be reprinted, but at the moment, I'm not sure. All right, so in terms of Oracle, one of them is absolutely no surprise to anyone, because I talk about these quite a lot, but they are my medicine cards. So these are by Jamie Sams and David Carson. They come with the most gorgeous book, which is pretty much everything, because it gives you so much fabulous information on each animal, and really it gives you little stories about them, talks about the medicine of that particular animal, gives you a meaning and a reversal meaning as well. And the book is amazing, and the cards I love as well. The backs aren't great, I have to admit. I wish they were different. They are quite thin cardstock. A bit of the sticky gloss, but I don't care. I actually don't care. They could be even worse and I'd still love them, because just, oh my gosh, they are always spot on. They are so comforting. They teach me so much. And I actually find the artwork quite whimsical, and, well, not whimsical, that's probably not the correct word, but I find them beautiful. They've really grown on me over time. These animals have sort of become part of my family. And once again, this is a deck that never gets put away. It doesn't sit in a box. It sits in my bedroom, in just its little bag, and I pull it all the time. And whenever I really need advice, whenever I need animal energy, I come to this one, and it is superb. Superb. Okay, then another one I would definitely want to buy. Now this one is not mass market, it's an independent deck, but as far as I can tell, it's still available. And this is the Animal Allies by Jessica Swift. Now there is an Animal Allies 2, but I thought I wouldn't cheat, and I think, okay, if I had to replace all my decks, I'd have to settle for one, and I'd buy this one. And if I could, I'd buy Animal Allies 2 as well. But this is amazing. I love this deck so much, and just the artwork is so beautiful. Now, the backs are lovely. I really like them. It's a nice, smooth matte cardstock. And I have to say though, I have mixed the two decks together. So I've got Animal Allies and Animal Allies 2, and I've mixed them together, and then I just divide them in two to store them in the two boxes when I put them away. So I might show you cards that are actually not from Animal Allies 1, but it could be from Animal Allies 2. So please don't just go buy Animal Allies because of one card. Please make sure that that card actually is in Allies 1. Okay, so after that caveat, I'll just show you some of the artwork, because the artwork's consistent across both decks. The backs are the same, the cardstock's the same, so you actually are able to mix them. And I also had a question a while back about whether there's any repeat animals, and there aren't. So there are 60 cards in this deck, and there's 60 cards in Animal Allies too, and that makes 120 unique animals. And so she's pretty much done Allies 2 as an extension. So it's covering all the animals that did not appear in Allies 1. And so you can definitely buy both without any fears. I love that horse. So cute. All right, and just, I love the borders. I love the artwork. And even though it doesn't actually come with a book, it does come with a little sheet where it just gives you little meanings of each animal. And the meanings are fabulous. They're really just on point and great. I found them very, very useful and very, very spot on. So that would be another animal deck. So yeah, I've got 3 animal decks I'd rebuy. You can tell where my allegiance lies, right? Another deck that, and this I struggled with because I thought I love Denise Linn decks, and so I'd have to buy one. And I took a while tossing up between Sacred Destiny and Sacred Traveler, and decided on Sacred Traveler because of the messages on the card. So if I had to choose one, I'd go with this one. I've also had it for a very long time, so I've really bonded with this one. And the backs are beautiful. Love them. It is a matte, smooth cardstock, but it is that matte, smooth cardstock that kind of sticks together a little bit. But they're so beautiful. And what I love about this is it has great keywords, but then wonderful little messages underneath as well. And so I use this in so many ways in my practice that I couldn't imagine not having this. And even though it's very storybook, it's the messages are very real world, and they pretty much go with any type of reading that you're going to be having. And they're all very straightforward. There's no weird fantasy words. They just get on with it. You know, so this one's probably like Desert Passage. It's a bit vague, but then the actual message is just super, super clear. And so, yeah, I couldn't imagine not having this one in my collection. And yeah, once again, it's a bit of an extension of me. I've had it for so long, and I love Denise Linn's cards so much. So yeah, that'll be the Sacred Destiny. Sacred Traveler. You can see I'm still a little bit caught up on the Sacred Destiny. All right, another one that I would definitely have to buy is the Angel and Ancestors Oracles by Kyle Gray. And now this is far more recent in my collection than some of the others, but boy has it grown on me. It's the same cardstock as that Denise Linn Sacred Travelers, so matte but kind of clumps a little bit because they're a bit sticky, but beautiful. They feel nice until touch. They're quite large cards. Love the backs, and oh my gosh, these cards are so beautiful. I love the artwork. This is by Lily Moses, the artwork. And I love the keywords. I find them very, very to the point, very practical advice. And oh my gosh, it's just incredible. And as the name says, you do have different ancestral paths being shown here. And then you have angels as well. And you also have animals and objects and seasons. So for example, winter. But how nice. Take care of your needs. So simple, right? And like with Moon, take note of intuitive messages. And you also have, if I can find some, so you've got the angels are represented as guardians. And oh my god, look at that animal guardian. Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it. And then you got all the archetypes, and so warrior and traveler and trader, and just some more parts of the world. And I really like it. Really like it. You got the hermit, the knight. See, it's stuck together. The knights, lovely. And there are also object cards like arrow, and just trying to see. There it is. You got broken arrow. So yes, that would be in my collection. It would be the more like angel-y type ancestor kind of deck that I would rebuy. And finally, I'd have to get a witchy deck. And this was tough too, because I was kind of going, do I go goddess decks or whatnot? And then I had to go with the deck that gives me such good readings and is probably weirdly enough, one of my more comforting decks. So that's the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle. Now this surprised me because I initially didn't want to buy it because I found the artwork a little bit creepy when I saw it online. But eventually I did see a walkthrough and it kind of grew on me. I love the backs, it is glossy, and I love the red trim. The red trim kind of sold me. It's my only colored trim deck, so I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. But in the end, I ended up buying it, and oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. I thought it would only be good for kind of witchy or Halloweeny type readings. And even though it's got keywords like candle magic and a banshee and things like that, which seem a bit creepy, and even like journey looks super creepy, and you have like poisons and spells, not poisons, potions and spells, and silence, and they kind of look very dark. But you know what? This has been one of my most comforting readers, because once you read the little spell at the bottom, and then the book has such good meanings attached to each card, that this has always been on point. It's given me what I need, and in some strange way, it's done so in an incredibly gentle way. So this deck has been one of the great surprises in my collection, and I couldn't imagine not having it. So yes, so they are my 10 plus honorary mention decks that I would repurchase immediately if all my decks disappeared, God forbid. And thank you for watching. And I've really been enjoying watching other people's videos on this, and I look forward to watching yours. So take care. See you next time. Bye.